Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host. Always so happy to have you here with us. We're going to talk some fun travel experiences. And you can contact us. Find us online, unscaledtravelshow.com, for all of our past episodes and guest interviews. Here with me, as always, my co-explorer, Amy Long.
Hi.
We're coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. And we have something really fun in an area that I know Diamondback Land Surveying operates all the time, in Arizona. Keeping it right in Arizona. We talk about Las Vegas a lot. We talk about the things that you can do in the city, around the city, whether you're with your friends and family, or you're just hanging out with the girls or the guys, or you just need a romantic weekend away. But now we're going to cover a place that we've talked about for years, but we've up until now, I'm ashamed to say, we've never ventured out and seen.
Right. So there's a city in Arizona that we kept looking at on the map. Like, we need to go down there. We need to check this place out. And we'd always put it off. And finally, this weekend, we woke up Saturday morning and we're like, we're going. So we went to Lake Havasu City in Arizona, which is only about a 2.5-hour drive south from Vegas. But it's a 2.5-hour drive we had just never quite made until this weekend. And so we decided to go check it out and see what is going on down at Lake Havasu City.
And it's a good reminder, if you want a visible and visual representation of what our journey consisted of, you can check out our brand new YouTube channel, Unscaled Travel Show, right there on YouTube. We had some adventures and misadventures. But, I feel a little silly because Lake Havasu City is apparently very popular with outdoorsmen, very popular with people who, worship the sun and love to be on the water. Even though we kind of grew up in that sort of environment, I never really flocked toward that.
Right.
Which is a shame. Now that I'm older and I live in a desert, I'm like, man, I'd really love to live near some water, and we gave all that up. But so we made our way down to Lake Havasu, which was pleasantly surprising.
Right. I think we both kind of had this thought that, okay, so it's a lake and there's a town around it. There's probably not going to be a whole lot to do. But once we got down there, we realized it's a thriving city. I think you said the population is around 60,000 people, but they have events almost every single week. They're either on the water or in the city, right there next to the water. They have some very famous attractions. They have some great places to eat. They have some wineries and breweries on site, and just a lot going on for this town that, like you said, pleasantly surprised us.
Right. First it was trying to figure out what is this town about? Because when you Google Lake Havasu City, a lot of the first things that pop up is the London Bridge.
Right.
And I was like, what the heck does a bridge that was built in the 1800s have to do with the city in the middle of the desert in Arizona?
Right.
And I know you did a little research about the founding of the city and where this freaking bridge came from.
Well, I did research because you love history and you were talking about it, so I wanted to find out for myself. But yeah, in the 1960s, this man basically founded this city because he wanted a place to test his boats out, and he wanted to use this lake. And he happened to find out that the original London Bridge in England was sinking and it was going to be torn down, and he outbid another country to purchase the bridge, and then took it apart, had it taken apart, shipped to the U.S., and then reassembled in Arizona. So yes, the original London Bridge is now in the desert in Arizona.
Yeah, you might recognize the name, especially if you know anything about chainsaws or anything. It's Robert McCulloch, right?
Right.
So McCulloch chainsaws started back in the, I think, 1948. And the guy built an empire off of that. He got the land surrounding this reservoir that was created by the Parker Dam creation. I think it was built in the 30s itself. It used to just be like an Army Air Corps, Air Corps rest camp.
Oh.
Site 6
okay.
Was out there. So that's basically all that was there. The Army was just using it. And so he bought thousands of acres around this reservoir for like $70 an acre, which is insane, right? And then, like you said, he wanted an attraction for the city. And he saw that the London Bridge, where do you post that?
I don't
hey,
know.
We're selling the bridge.
I don't know. Like, it was because there wasn't an internet back then.
Right, you put it on Craigslist, come buy this bridge, show up to my house, get murdered, buy this bridge. But like you just mentioned, he outbid a country. The country was Russia. He outbid Russia for this bridge, and then took it apart brick by brick. They had to number the bricks, and put them on a barge, shipped them through the Panama Canal up to Long Beach, and had them trucked over, and then reassembled, just so he could be like, we have the London Bridge,
Right.
And man, they've gone all out with this thing.
Right. So other than the internal infrastructure of the bridge, the steel part, that was what was previously failing. It's the original bridge, and you can still see the numbers on some of the bricks from when they numbered them. So they knew how to puzzle piece this back together. So we got to go across the bridge, go under the bridge on a boat. It's got lots of pictures next to the bridge, and it is a gorgeous sight. It really is. They light it up every night. And then depending on the season, it's different colors. They have a lot of festivals there, boating parades, things like that. So the bridge is the main attraction for the city.
And they love it.
They do.
They have leaned into this English, London, Arizona connection, which it works perfectly well when you see the actual city, but they have English flags. What do they call it? Union Jack flags?
Yeah.
Flying everywhere. They light it up at night. It's beautiful. So for it to be kind of the unofficial or official heart of the city, it actually works.
It does.
It's not like, I don't want to call our stuff in Vegas fake, but because for the longest time, that was the only Eiffel Tower I've ever known. Replicas of things. You mean that's not the real New York skyline over there? Above that it has the Hershey's Chocolate World. I don't want to hear it. That's blasphemy. So, then once you get out there, okay, you're like, it's a lake, it's a reservoir. You know that you can go down there and probably rent boats and jet skis and things like that. And that stuff is tons of fun. And we know we're going to get to an adventure that we had on the lake. But then you start looking around going, what else is there?
Right.
You hear it in passing, and I guess you do on the West Coast. What else is going on? And over the years, we've heard various things: balloon festivals, hot air balloon festivals, Christmas festivals. One thing that kind of gets wrapped up in the city because of the name similarities is something that's really popular with hikers and people who run on trails and things like that, and that's Havasu Falls.
Right.
That is actually near the Grand Canyon. That is miles and miles and miles away. Hours away, I should actually say. It's closer to Grand Canyon Junction and north of Flagstaff. So even though it shares the name because of the First Peoples reservations and stuff, it's not the same thing. So that's one of the misconception I had. I look all over the map going, where's Havasu Falls?
And it's not there.
It's not there.
But in Lake Havasu City, there is a lot of places to go hiking. There's a lot of, just as you were saying, outdoor activities. You can, obviously it's a lake, so you can rent boats, you can rent jet skis. There were tons of people just swimming in the water, just hanging out, people fishing. There was a ferry that went across the water that we took. It was a couple of dollars a person round trip. So just so much to do on the water.
And when we come back, we're going to get into more of that. It's Lake Havasu City right here on the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hi.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. For all of our past episodes and guest interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com, and check out our brand new YouTube channel.
Right.
Unscaled Travel Show. We need some subscribers, man. Gosh.
Well, you can hear about our travels on this radio show. You can see some of our travels and misadventures on the YouTube channel.
Packed full of misadventures. That's what we call them. We don't call them screw-ups.
No.
Misadventures.
Happy little accidents, right?
Okay, Bob Ross. All right. Happy little accidents. Speaking of happy little accidents, well, I don't know how to segue that. So we're talking about Lake Havasu City in Arizona. It's a beautiful place, one that we got to explore for the very first time. And more importantly, I know we did a little bit of research, but we didn't do extensive research like some of the places that we go to, which is part of, I think, a new kind of approach for us.
Right.
You and I are planners.
We are.
We are almost meticulous.
Yes.
And I understand that, like, for when we visited Japan, we wanted to know how to get around, what we should see when we get around there, things like that. But we've had active conversations like, you know what, let's try not to plan so much. Let's just go and, like you said, have these happy little accidents.
Right.
And just stumble into some adventures. One of your famous sayings is, I'm an explorer, and you just head off into the desert.
Okay, you're right. You're not wrong there.
Go listen to the Death Valley episode of our show on Spotify and tell me that her just walking into the desert isn't just that motto right there. So, you know, we find some food first off when we drive into the city because we've been driving for a couple hours now. And we stop by a nice little local spot at the foot of the London Bridge. What was it called again?
So there's this area right under the bridge called...
No, I'm talking about Barley Brothers.
Oh.
There we go. I just saw that.
Sorry.
Anyway, we stopped at Barley Brothers, and we had some lunch.
Yes.
You just kind of looked at me like, what? We had some lunch, and the best way to explore a new city, if you can, and as long as you're being careful, is to get a flight of beers. Get a nice little...
From a microbrewery, which we did. A nice
little eye sheen going on. And then you go hit the road. So then we made our way to this nice little English village because everything is like patterned after England.
Right. So while we're on Barley Brothers, it is just across the water on what the locals call the island. So the London Bridge takes you from, I guess, the mainland and over to this island where there are houses, there's hotels and resorts and various restaurants and shops. And that's where the Barley Brothers brewery and restaurant was. So we sat next to the window, we're looking out at the bridge and the water, and across the water we see this cute little area with these little shops that just look different than the rest of the city. So when we were done eating, we drove back over the bridge and went down there, and it is actually where their visitor center is, and it's called the English Village, and it's all patterned after what London supposedly looked like back when this bridge was transported over here.
Right. And they have little places, you know, restaurants, all kinds of restaurants and eateries. Family style and everywhere else. Like they had some fish and chips places, some mac and cheese stall, different things like that. So it's not all typical English fare, but it is done up in a way that, I mean, they had golden lion statues.
Right. They had a big fountain.
A big fountain with lions, you know, spitting water into the fountain and everything. But visitor center. Let me wax poetically about visitor centers real quick. I love visitor. As the older I've gotten, my appreciation for a good, well-run and well-organized city visitor center has just multiplied.
He's not joking. Like,
I love it.
We stop in visitor centers pretty much every place we go.
And I just, every time we pull up to one, I hear you just do that sigh. And it's also like 20 years of marriage, but like you're also just like, oh.
I don't mind.
This
You never
guy.
know. Like you said, a well-run one is very helpful. There's usually some nice souvenirs. Sometimes you walk in there and people look like they are not very welcoming to visitors, and you're just wondering what's the point. So we did not run into that with this one. It was actually a very lovely visitor center. It had a very, for that size space, a very large souvenir area, and it had a lot of information on the area, which is how we ended up on our boating adventure the next day, because I picked up one of their brochures while we were in there.
Which was a happy little accident.
It was a happy little accident. I had so much fun.
And where we discovered that they have, fetish is not the right word. They have a fascination there. Fetish. A fascination with lighthouses there. Did you ever discover why they love these lighthouses so much?
Well, so the guy said that they put lighthouses up because there is so many boaters, and because of the shape of the island and the mainland, they did want to make sure if people were boating at night that they didn't hit any areas that jutted out. So it started as just the purpose of a lighthouse, safety. But they've decided over the years to pattern these after other lighthouses in the United States. So every lighthouse around Lake Havasu is actually a replica of a lighthouse somewhere else in the United States, on the east and west coast, and a few even along the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, we saw one from that I believe is along South Padre Island. They're little small replicas of these lighthouses, these famous lighthouses and everything, but they're found everywhere along the lake, which is kind of fascinating. It's almost like a little scavenger hunt or something like that, something where you can go and explore, but not every single one of them can be reached by
land.
By land. You have to get in a boat or jet ski or something like that to go out there and go kind of track these things down. So, I think over the years they have built up interesting little wrinkles to the adventures that you can have while you're in that area or while you're enjoying the lake.
Right. Because once we saw inside the visitor center, they had a few small miniature lighthouses, and they said which ones they were. And then there was a map on the wall, and you and I were both like, are they saying these lighthouses are here? And they had the name of the actual city where the real lighthouse was. So once we realized they had these lighthouses in Lake Havasu, we were very interested to see how many of them we could go find. And we didn't find that many by car, but the next day when we were on the water, we saw most of them, I think. And we had kind of a map, and we were sort of checking them off, like, yes, we saw these.
Because that's where we are.
That's where we are in life. We check things off. We get a magnet and a sticker every place we go. I just had the horrible realization that I've turned into my parents. That you're middle-aged?
Oh, my God. Don't say it, even when you do that. Stay right here, folks. When we come back, we're going to have more from Lake Havasu City. This is the Unscaled Travel Show, and I feel my age.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, here with my co-host, Amy.
Hi.
We're talking about Lake Havasu City, Arizona, a beautiful outdoor spot. We are currently in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Thank you so much, Trent and Lisa Keenan, for all of your support. And for you guys, we keep saying this over and over again, but check us out on YouTube. You can hear our adventures here wherever you hear it, but go to YouTube, check out Unscaled Travel Show. You can actually see our adventures and my scraggly beard in all of its glory. I need to shave. We were talking about fun on the lake and the little English village. I don't know if there's an official name for it, but there's an English village at the foot of the London Bridge in Lake Havasu City.
I think the official name is the English Village.
There you go.
On the Lake Havasu website, golakehavasu.com, so much information. After we were there, I was checking out the website and I was like, we probably should have looked at this before we got here, but tons of info on things to do, places to eat, events, just different history on their city, which is actually a pretty interesting history. But there is a section on the English Village. It is basically this waterfront district with restaurants, stores, and just, again, some replica of things from London to go along with the bridge that it sits right under.
You know which store that I really liked when we went there?
The candle store.
Oh, I love the candle store. It was so nice.
It was very neat. They made what they call old world candles. So they look like candles that have been carved and twisted, and they actually make these candles in the shop. She didn't say how often they make them, but she did say that the store owner makes them herself. You could see the area where they melt off the wax and they carve the different candles, and it was really, really neat. I don't think I expected to see that many candles in there. And you walk in and it's just candles everywhere, carved, molded, just anything you can think of, any shape, they have made a candle.
It's fascinating. You just sit there.
And they ship everywhere. I think they said they ship all over the world.
Yeah. I might go back and just buy one online and have it shipped here. It was just really, really fascinating. Again, that's where I am in life. So so we, did our diligence, walked around there later on in the evening as well. In the summertime, be warned, it is Arizona. It is the desert. It is an arid place, even though it's right by a lake. So the temperatures can get pretty warm. Mm-hmm. So you'll want to prepare that, if you have sensitive skin and things like that, sunscreen, hats, anything to block the sun.
Hydrate.
And just, be careful of the pets. If you bring your pets, there were signs everywhere talking about the temperatures of the sidewalk, just making sure. We did see lots of doggies out there, and they all had the little shoes on.
The little boots on. They did, yeah.
So cute.
But I would say, a lot of people, when you're on the lake and you're having fun, you're also consuming alcohol. Mm-hmm. There were signs encouraging people to drink water. They did talk about, they get a lot of people down there for spring break, summer vacation, who do consume alcohol and not enough water, and sometimes accidents happen. So if you're going there to have fun, but also drink water.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'd tell the same stuff to people here in Vegas. Drink water. Alcohol isn't water.
Right.
So the area has, we mentioned it earlier, so much hiking, miles and miles of hiking trails. And desert excursions. You can rent ATVs, UTVs, anything like that to go out into the desert or bring your own. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of public trails. Camping and RVing, come on, get out of here.
Right.
Man. You can camp anywhere, RV anywhere, just about. There are so many wonderful campsites. There's just too many to name here in the show. So, go to the city, go lakehavasu.com. Is that? Mm-hmm. They have so much information on there, which, yes, you're absolutely right. We should have looked at that before we've gone, but we would have been more prepared than we had wanted to be, right?
Right.
It's about that adventure of not knowing. So, after that, we got a little piece of information. One of my favorite things to do, honestly, when we go to a new city is if we're taking Uber or a taxi, talk to the Uber drivers, talk to the taxi drivers, or when we're checking into a hotel. Mm-hmm. The concierge or whoever's working the front desk is always good for information. Where's the local spots to eat, what to do, things like that. And I got a good nugget of information. There's a ferry. There's a ferry that leaves from right there next to the shops, that English Village, mm-hmm. right at the foot of the bridge. It takes you one way. It goes to a casino that is technically on the California side of the lake, because this lake sits on the California and Arizona border. But there's a little casino there.
Right.
There's a little casino there, and it's got a nice, well-received restaurant and everything. And so we hopped on there, but go at sunset. That
was what the lady told you, was get on at sunset. Mm-hmm. It helped with the heat, but also we got to see the gorgeous sunset over the lake with the mountains in the distance. It was so nice. We got some beautiful pictures and video. think you can see on our YouTube. And it was just a couple of dollars per person to get on this ferry and go over to the casino, and it's a round trip ticket. So we ended up going into the little casino over there. It's not very big, but it's big enough. We won a little bit of money.
Yeah,
hey,
we did.
had a drink or two, and then we got back on the ferry at night and came back over and saw the gorgeous moon and the stars. Because that's another thing about Lake Havasu. They do not have a lot of street lights because they don't want that light pollution. So it's a great place for stargazing.
It really is. And it was a beautiful trip going and coming back, and mentioning the heat, which is important because no one likes to sit and, you get up and you're like, what did I sit in? And you're like, that's
me.
It's me. I'm sweating so much. It's gross, man. But, wear dark pants or something. I don't know. But so, we do that. And then at the end of the night, and we didn't stay at the casino very long because we do casinos all the time here in Vegas. So, and once you win some money, you got to get out of the casino. You have to leave.
Leave when you're up.
And so when you go back, you can, a lot of the restaurants are open a little bit later, and you can grab a bite to eat before turning in for the night. But we decided right then and there, since we won a little bit of money and we kind of looked at the brochure earlier, we were going to put our newfound fortune to work and rent a boat.
Right. Not just any boat. We were going to rent a rubber duck boat. And it's not that you're necessarily renting.
Say that again.
Rubber duck. But you're not necessarily renting a boat. It is a boat tour. And you have your own little boat, and your tour guide has their boat that you're following. So we went ahead and booked those tickets for first thing the next morning, first tour of the day, and woke up bright and early.
No. Yeah. I just had PTSD from it, man. Waking up early is just not my thing. But this was when you have zero expectations and you go into it just with an open mind. Like, okay, man, let's just go out here and have fun. And I will say it was the highlight of the trip.
Right.
This
it
was
really
so much fun. And shout out to our guide, Phil, with rubber duck, I think, tours.
Yes, rubber duck tours.
And he was so much fun. And I think he kept calling you baby.
He kept calling me sweetheart.
Oh, sweetheart. That's it. But he was so nice and so friendly. And we had so much fun with him that it's one of those things I highly, highly recommend.
Right.
Because you get to go, he took us into so many different coves and gave us so much good information on just like the city and, the formation of everything and just like little nuances that only locals would know.
Right.
That's not really on any of the websites or anything. So recommend it. We're going to talk more about our time with Phil and the rubber duck. I don't know how to say it. Keep it right here. It's Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hi.
We're coming to you from the beautiful Diamondback Land Surveying Studios in the lovely Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. We're talking about Lake Havasu City, Arizona, though. That's who's getting our love today, man. And you had a correction on the name of the place. What was it?
Oh, on the boat place, Rubber Duck Safari.
Rubber Duck Safari. So you're in luck. Rubber duck.
So, yeah, we didn't know what to expect. On the brochure, it said it was a boat tour and you pilot your own boat. But it did say specifically that you did not need experience because neither one of us have done a lot of...
Which is handy.
...driving boats.
When you've never done it, yeah.
So we booked this the night before for 8 a.m., the first tour of the morning. And it's a 2.5 hour tour. And I will say, I think going at 8 o'clock in the morning was a great idea, because by the time it was over at 10:30, it was pretty hot.
It was warm.
And the lake was starting to get pretty crowded. And for someone who is not an experienced boat driver, I don't know what you call it, it was nice to not be so concerned with having to navigate around other boats and swimmers and jet skis, because they were starting to really come out towards the end of our tour.
That would be called a captain.
Okay.
You are now officially a captain because Amy drove the boat.
I did.
You piloted the boat around. Let me tell you something, folks. For someone who had no experience and had a little bit of apprehension as we climbed into this little dinghy, I don't know, she had no problem going full throttle and just hauling butt around this, like making turns, following our guide as closely as possible.
Not as closely as possible.
Safely, as he asked us to do. But like just tearing around these coves, man, like she had been doing this from day one. I was amazed. I was a little frightened, but it was I don't know. You tell me. You're the one that was driving. I was just doing video work.
It was so much fun.
Okay.
So much fun. I'm glad I did drive. I was happy to let you drive, but when you told me, no, you go ahead, do it. It was a blast. It said that the boat goes up to about 30 miles per hour, which is fairly fast, especially being a smaller boat. But Phil, our guide, before we left, said, stay roughly 50 feet behind me. And so he would occasionally turn around, and if I was farther behind, he would slow down to make sure we were okay. So I had to stay at top speed to keep up with Phil.
Phil had a lunch appointment, and he was not going to miss it. No, it was a good experience. But, on this guide, like we said, it's a guided tour. So he drives out, and we follow, and he stops every once in a while and gives us information about the surrounding area and all kinds of different coves. So there's like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 400 miles of shoreline from Lake Havasu, okay? And it creates all these different coves. The first one that we really came to was Copper Canyon. Copper Canyon is this beautiful canyon-esque featured little alcove with places where we saw some people that were climbing up these rocks and jumping off these rocks. I'm not going to do that because, again, I'm at that age. Something's going to break. But it was really fun watching, and you can see there were already boats kind of parked out there getting a view, and that's probably one of the areas that people park at. And you can probably sit there most of the day.
Yeah.
Swimming. It's safe to swim in. It's kind of a way, so you're not going to have like fast boats coming through there or navigating the waterways. And it just seemed like it was one of those things like Phil said that, I don't know if you caught what he said. He was like, I used to jump off this rock in the 70s.
Right.
And I was like, well, how old are you, Phil? He's the oldest person I've met in the last couple of years, at least. But he's in good spirits. So
good health.
Good health. But not only that one, but probably to my favorite cove.
Oh, right. You just like the name.
I love the name. And this is what they call it. So you can't get mad at me. Okay. She kind of gave me a look, but it's called Big Booty Bay. And it's spelled just the way you would think it is. But Big Booty Bay is the place you go. And this is part of, it's where the water reaches this place called Sarah Park. Sarah Park has tons of hiking trails that kind of lead down to the water. So at the end of your, hike there to the water, you take a little dip, take a swim, especially on these hot days. And they do have, I did see facilities.
I did see facilities. I even saw some picnic tables set up over there. So he did say some of the hikes are a little more strenuous than others. So I think just if you're going to hike it, kind of do your research there to make sure you're taking a hike that is in your skill level. But a lot of hiking trails that led over to the water, and a lot of, as you said, coves. There were people out there swimming, people paddle boarding. There is one area right around the corner from that is set up with a jet ski obstacle course, because what we found out is Lake Havasu has an international jet ski competition every year in the fall. I looked it up. It's the first week of October this coming year. And people from, I think he said, over 20 countries come to Lake Havasu to compete in jet ski competitions.
And he says the local team is usually one of the top teams.
Right.
Because they get to practice on this course every day. And when they say practice every day, I mean, when we got over to that area, they had guys rolling out there in those stand-up jet skis. I don't know if they have a special name or not, but they were hauling butt around there and making it look like a lot of fun. Make me wish I could do that and still had cartilage in my knees and stuff like that, you know. But we had a couple more stops, a lot of great information about London Bridge itself before we made our way, you know, off the lake. But it is something I highly, highly recommend.
Me too.
If you have the time and the resources, absolutely check it out.
Yeah, I think it was probably the best thing that we did down there.
So you mentioned the Jet Ski World Finals that happened down there. There are a surprising number of annual events and festivals in that area that have, once I found out about them, blew me away. And I know we're going to go back in January for the Lake Havasu Balloon Festival.
Yes, they have a hot air balloon festival. We've seen photos of it in the past, but he was talking about some of the different things that they do. And you even mentioned that occasionally you can do like pay for hot air balloon rides. But he was talking about just how many people come down there, and they'll have something like 50 hot air balloons that they light up and take up into the sky. And it's like, I think a whole week worth of activities and festivals and boating parades, just a lot of stuff going on down there. And he did say that the city draws so many visitors for these events that they have that you do need to plan ahead. If you want to get a hotel room, you need to get down to the water early because most of the festivals are near the water and parking can be a bit limited. So if this sounds like something you want to do, definitely plan ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other little things like they have this thing called hanging over Havasu Discovery flights, which is those little sit-down planes with almost like the kite tops.
Oh.
And you take off and they land on the water and everything. So they have these annual events with these sorts of craft as well, which may be, you know, I mean, hey, the way to conquer fear, right, is to strap yourself into one of these. And we mentioned like the UTVs and ATVs earlier, but he did mention, I think a couple of people mentioned, I think the lady at the hotel that we stayed at as well, but the Christmas time festival.
Yes. And it goes through most of the month of December, and they have something every single night out on the water, also on just near the village, things going on every single day, every single night out there. And they light up the bridge with different colors to represent different Christmas lights. So they turn it into a huge event that not only their local people come to, but people, they said, come from all over the world to see this.
And it is close enough to parts of California, Southern California, and different areas in Arizona and even Nevada that you can end up on a quick day trip. If you're staying in that area, you want to go explore a little bit. Very quickly, we're coming up to the end of it, but there is a place called Oatman. Dang it. Oatman, Arizona.
Yes.
It's along historic Route 66.
Yes. So Lake Havasu City is not too far from where Route 66 comes through California into Arizona. So we hopped on it and went north a little bit to Oatman. And Oatman is known for having wild burros. I can't say it. Donkeys that will just walk right up to your car and want to be fed. And if you're standing in the streets, they expect to be fed. So if you like wild animals like I do, you got to check it out.
This has been the Unscaled Travel Show. We will see you guys next time. Unscaledtravelshow.com.